Until now, Western countries like France, the United States, and other European countries have been doing politics over Niger. They have been using their puppets in Africa, like Nigeria and the ECOWAS, to threaten Niger's military junta with a military invasion of the country. During all this, Niger's military leader Abdourahmane Chiani remained silent, but nobody knew he was actually calculating and making strategies to hit all those against him and his country very hard. He increased his active military presence when threatened with invasion instead of stepping back. But now, he has more than that. To punish France, Nigeria, the ECOWAS, Europe, and even the entire West, Niger has done something you would not believe. But what is it? And how can it deprive the Europeans of the prosperity they have enjoyed for tens of decades? Watch the video until the very end because Niger is making history. Let's get started. Whenever an African country planned to rise and break free from the Western monopoly, the Western countries used blackmail tactics to neutralize things. However, this time, the tables have been turned. After the coup in Niger, European countries, especially France, took a keen interest in reversing the coup, using the ECOWAS as its puppet. They were so overconfident that they went to extremes and threatened Niger with a military invasion if the coup was not reversed. However, they forgot one thing. This time, Niger was strategically standing at a high point and had the power to choke Nigeria, the ECOWAS, France, and even the entire Europe with a single move. The first punishment was given to Nigeria for being the biggest of Western puppets in Africa. Since the Nigerian president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was the one giving the idea of invasion and asking the parliament to permit him, he and his country became the prime focus for Niger's military junta to punish first. Therefore, the government of Niger officially announced the immediate suspension of all liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, exports, commonly known as cooking gas, until further notice. As reported by Reuters, Niamey's authorities stressed the need to prioritize domestic production to meet the country's demands. They clarified that businesses can seek authorization to resume exports in case of a surplus. Niger primarily exports gas to its neighbor, Nigeria, and both nations signed a memorandum of understanding for petroleum product importation in 2020. The agreement, formalized with the presence of the respective ministers of state for petroleum, was hailed as a significant step forward. However, tensions arose as Nigeria opposed Niger, leading to the discontinuation of LPG supply. This poses a challenge for Nigeria, which urgently needs LPG. Liquefied petroleum gas is crucial for cooking, heating, and vehicles. In Nigeria, its price has surged to an unprecedented 1,000 Nigerian naira per kilogram from the previous 750 naira. As warned by the Nigerian Association of Liquefied Petroleum Gas Marketers, due to fluctuations in foreign exchange rates and international market activities. Niger now plans to use the surplus LPG for various domestic activities, a move welcomed by its people. In response to fuel subsidy removal and to ease transportation challenges for residents, the governor of Niger State, Mohamed Bago, has acquired 200 compressed natural gas-powered buses. He revealed this initiative during a dinner for members of the House of Representatives press corps in Minna, the state's capital. The governor also disclosed the state government's intention to sign a memorandum of understanding with a rice processing plant in Kano to directly purchase paddy rice produced in Niger State, emphasizing that these initiatives are part of the state's infrastructure development plan. Contracts have been awarded for constructing a 566-kilometer road network spanning the state. You should know the heightened attention to prevent Nigeria from accessing Niger's LPG is linked to the Nigerian president's role in urging ECOWAS to intervene in Niger's internal matters and carry out military intervention. He has officially sought the approval of Nigeria's parliament to authorize a military intervention in Niger. It's apparent that Niger regards him with skepticism, and the move to cut off LPG exports to Nigeria is just the initial step. In response to the actions of the Nigerian president, the West African Regional Bloc declared that military intervention in coup-led Niger was being contemplated as a last resort. At the same time, Nigeria ceased its electricity supply, exerting pressure on the leaders of the coup in the country. In Abuja, Nigeria's capital, military chiefs from West Africa met to devise a response while a delegation arrived in Niger for negotiations. This unfolded a week after the coup that shook the fragile nation. Leaders of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, imposed trade and financial sanctions, issuing a one-week ultimatum to the coup leaders to reinstate Niger's democratically elected president or face the potential use of force. Abdel Fattah Moussa, the ECOWAS Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security, stressed that military intervention is the last option. Still, ECOWAS must be prepared for the possibility. A team from ECOWAS, led by former Nigerian leader Abdulsalami Abubakar, entered into talks in Niger. As the current chair of ECOWAS, Nigeria, representing West Africa's military and economic powerhouse, has committed to taking a determined stance against the increasing occurrences of coups in the region since 2020. Nigeria's power company, Nigelec, verified the end of electricity supply to Niger due to the imposed sanctions. Niger, one of the world's poorest countries, relies on Nigeria for 70% of its power. Mali and Burkina Faso, both under junta rule, have issued warnings that any military intervention in their neighbor would be deemed a declaration of war against them. Moscow advocated for an urgent national dialogue in Niger and warned that threats of intervention will not help ease tensions or calm the domestic situation. Russia issued a warning, stating that any military intervention in Niger would result in a protracted confrontation. The regional bloc ECO triggered this response, revealing its plans to assemble a standby force. The Russian Foreign Ministry expressed concern that such intervention could lead to destabilization across the Sahel region. On the contrary, the United States, supporting efforts to reinstate the deposed leader Mohamed Bazoum, claimed that its Wagner mercenary group was taking advantage of the instability. Following this, supporters of the coup, some waving Russian flags, held protests near a French military base close to the capital city of Niamey, chanting slogans like "Down with France, down with ECOWAS." While the ECOWAS bloc emphasized its openness to a diplomatic solution, Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu stated that no option was taken off the table, including the use of force as a last resort. The United States did not explicitly endorse military action, but called on the junta to step aside and allow the restoration of the country's democratic constitution. However, the goal was not solely to teach Nigeria a lesson. Given that France and the entire Europe appeared to support ECOWAS's military intervention in Niger, it was decided that Europe should also be taught a lesson. Consequently, Niger issued a clear warning that any European intervention in Niger's internal matters would lead to the termination of the Trans-Saharan gas pipeline. This warning created shockwaves in Europe, leading people to wonder how a single pipeline could be so crucial for Europe. You should know that the Trans-Saharan gas pipeline was initially conceived in the 1970s to enhance the European Union's gas supplies and diversify its energy sources, reducing dependence on Russia for natural gas. In January 2002, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation and Algeria's national oil and gas company, Sonatrach, laid the foundation for the project by signing a memorandum of understanding. Subsequently, in June 2005, NNPC and Sonatrach partnered with Penspen Limited to undertake a feasibility study, confirming the pipeline's technical and economic viability by September 2006. On February 20, 2009, NNPC and Sonatrach agreed to move forward with the draft Memorandum of Understanding involving 3 governments and a joint venture agreement. On July 3, 2009, in Abuja, the energy ministers of Nigeria, Niger, and Algeria signed an intergovernmental agreement, marking a significant milestone for the pipeline. Niger played a crucial role in this pipeline due to its strategic location between Nigeria and Algeria, offering valuable opportunities. For the gas pipeline to succeed, Nigeria must construct a pipeline from the country to Niger, entering Algeria and then Europe. If Niger declines to join, the entire pipeline project will collapse. On July 28, 2022, the ministers of energy from Algeria, Nigeria, and Niger signed a Memorandum of Understanding for the execution of the Trans-Saharan gas pipeline project, indicating substantial progress in the project's development. The pipeline's route originates in Nigeria's Warri region, extending north through Niger until reaching Hassi R'Mel in Algeria. In Hassi R'Mel, it will connect to existing pipelines, including Trans-Mediterranean, Maghreb-Europe, Medgaz, and Galsi, collectively supplying Europe from Algeria's Mediterranean coast. The total length of the Trans-Saharan Gas Pipeline, TSGP, is projected to span 4,128 kilometers, including 1,037 kilometers in Nigeria, 841 kilometers in Niger, and 2,310 kilometers in Algeria. But if Niger cancels the pipeline, the whole of the pipeline will collapse because the pipeline has to inevitably pass from Niger. Anticipated to have an annual capacity of up to 30 billion cubic meters of natural gas, the pipeline is expected to feature a diameter ranging from 48 to 56 inches. Initial expectations aimed for it to be operational by 2015, with an estimated investment of around $10 billion for the pipeline and an additional $3 billion for gas gathering centers. The construction and operation of the pipeline are envisioned as a partnership between NNPC, Sonatrach, and the Republic of Niger. Initially, NNPC and Sonatrach were slated to jointly hold 90% of the shares, while Niger would retain the remaining 10%. Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. Various international companies, including Russia's Gazprom, India's Gale, France's Total, Italy's Eni SpA, and Royal Dutch Shell, have expressed interest in participating in the project. The Algerian and Nigerian energy ministers have conveyed that potential partners must offer more than just financial support to be part of the project. In June 2022, energy ministers from Algeria, Niger, and Nigeria revitalized a long-standing project aimed at constructing a gas pipeline across the Sahara Desert. This ambitious undertaking, known as the Trans-Saharan Gas Pipeline, aspired to connect Nigeria's extensive Wari hydrocarbon fields with Algeria's Hassi R'Mel feeder hub along the Mediterranean coast. If this initiative gains traction, it will create substantial business opportunities in design and construction, requiring the involvement of various specialized suppliers. American suppliers in particular are eager to capitalize on this mega project. Opportunities include a wide range of services and products, including management services, gas compression stations, trenching excavators, pipeline sections, pipe layers, X-ray welding, pumps, fittings, valves, flanges, gaskets, high-pressure flow control technologies, pipeline integrity testing and inspection, advanced high-corrosion solutions, and flow measurement and maintenance technology. This means that the pipeline is not a lifeline for Europe, but a business opportunity for the US as well. However, the realization of this dream hinges on Niger's willingness. Therefore, as Europe has taken a stance against Niger, the Trans-Saharan Gas Pipeline project, critical for its entry into the European gas market, faces substantial challenges. The project's future is uncertain following the military coup in Niger in July, prompting the Nigeria-led regional bloc ECOWAS to consider troop deployment. Consequently, Nigeria, ECOWAS, and Europe, not Niger, are the reasons for jeopardizing the pipeline. Experts suggest that Algeria's keen interest in mediating the Niger crisis might be linked to the Trans-Saharan pipeline. Mali and Burkina Faso, also led by military governments, have expressed their readiness to support Niger in the event of an ECOWAS invasion, further complicating the situation. Europe, Nigeria, Algeria, and ECOWAS must acknowledge that the pipeline's future rests on Niger alone. They should approach the situation peacefully instead of adopting an offensive stance that risks sabotaging the pipeline. It's crucial to understand that if Niger is cornered, it may leverage its security pact with Mali and Burkina Faso to protect itself. Once out of the situation, the first action would likely be to ensure the collapse of the Trans-Saharan Gas Pipeline at all costs. This underscores that the Trans-Saharan Gas Pipeline is more than a necessity for Europe. It's a crucial need. Given the strained energy relations with Russia, Europe actively seeks dependable alternative energy sources, especially natural gas. In this scenario, the Trans-Saharan Gas Pipeline is a blessing for Europe, surpassing its traditional confines. As energy poverty grows across the European continent, the TSGP project promises to usher in a new era of energy reliability for Europe. Upon completing the $13 billion pipeline, it will transport up to 30 billion cubic meters of gas annually from Nigeria, located in West Africa. The route traverses through Niger and onward to Algeria. Subsequently, the plan involves pumping the TSGP gas through the undersea Trans-Mediterranean pipeline to Europe or loading it onto liquefied natural gas tankers for export. However, skepticism prevails among energy experts, casting doubt on the likelihood of African gas flowing into Europe in the near future. Some contend that the pipeline may not materialize within the next 10 years. Isaac Badi, a Nigerian public finance specialist from Abuja, points to a potential lack of political will as the primary challenge. Perhaps the apprehensions are right because, on the one hand, Europe wants to get gas from Africa, but on the other hand, it is in no mood of not interfering in Africa's internal matters. In this case, Europe must be taught a lesson. This skepticism is not unfounded, considering the strained relations between Europe and Niger. Expecting compliance with the agreement from Niger, deemed an adversary, may prove unrealistic. Perhaps both the Nigerian president and Europe overlook the benefits planned by the pipeline for all parties involved. In contrast, Algeria has taken a pragmatic approach, recognizing the substantial economic gains that the trans-Saharan gas pipelines could bring to each country. Understanding the high stakes, Algeria prioritizes long-term planning over immediate confrontations. Regrettably, the Nigerian president has positioned himself as an easy target, diverting attention from his country's internal issues and neglecting the pipeline's potential. Instead, he has taken an adversarial stance against Niger, even seeking parliamentary approval to invade the neighboring country. This move surprised experts and jeopardized the lucrative sale of Nigeria's vast energy reserves. The majority of the 30 billion cubic meters of gas is expected to originate from the Niger Delta, a coastal region on the Atlantic Ocean belonging to Nigeria, renowned for having Africa's largest oil reserves. The Delta is not only rich in crude oil, but also houses significant natural gas deposits, making Nigeria the second largest gas exporter on the continent after Algeria. However, without the Trans-Saharan pipeline, these reserves are useless. Europe, in particular, faces the prospect of bearing the brunt of the heaviest losses. In 2021, a significant portion of Europe's energy, approximately one-third, relied on natural gas. This dependence extended across various sectors, including power generation, transportation, and heating. In 2021, a significant majority of Europe's energy production, totaling 76%, relied on the combustion of fossil fuels. More specifically, gas constituted 34%, oil 31%, and coal 11%. The remaining energy mix included renewable sources like hydropower, solar, wind, and biofuels, contributing 14%, with nuclear power accounting for the remaining 10%. This means that if Europe is to survive, it needs gas. All infrastructures in Europe, especially in Germany, have been made using gas as the main energy due to years of cheaper Russian gas Europe bought. That's why the need for alternative energy sources in Europe becomes urgent due to supply constraints imposed by Russia on gas, underscoring the importance of the Trans-Saharan gas pipeline. Notably, Europe stands as the world's largest importer of natural gas. In 2021, Russia, Germany, the UK, Italy, and France collectively consumed 3/4 of the continent's total energy supply, amounting to 10,073 terawatt-hours generated from gas. The spike in energy prices, triggered by Russia's conflict in Ukraine, led several European Union countries to unveil emergency measures involving substantial financial commitments. For instance, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz introduced a $65 billion plan aimed at assisting individuals and businesses in coping with escalating energy costs. Italy's government also approved a $17 billion aid package to shield businesses and households from rising energy expenses and increasing consumer prices. French President Emmanuel Macron emphasized the need for the EU to intensify efforts to develop renewable energy resources and reform the electricity market. Currently, the European Union confronts an urgent need for a comprehensive solution to address challenges within its energy system, and the Trans-Saharan gas pipeline emerges as a viable option. However, France's interference in other countries has complicated the situation. it's crucial to note that Niger has issued a warning about ending gas pipelines, suggesting that Europe and France still have time to distance themselves from the Niger coup matter. Niger has already prohibited the export of LPG to Nigeria, indicating its seriousness about following through on its statements. This is not a bluff, as evidenced by Niger's decision to halt LPG exports, which significantly contribute to its revenues. You should know that Europe wanted to have the Trans-Saharan pipeline to diversify its energy suppliers. However, it remains its only option now. With the end of Nord Stream 1 and 2, the gas pipelines coming from Russia, Europe is in the weakest position possible. It has got no bargaining power whatsoever. The Nord Stream pipelines, once lauded as crucial to Europe's energy security, now find themselves partially severed, plunging the continent into a complex network of vulnerabilities. Nord Stream 1 and 2 were more than simple gas conduits. They functioned as vital lifelines, satisfying a substantial portion of Europe's energy needs. Germany, the continent's economic powerhouse, depended on Nord Stream for around 35% of its gas, and other nations like Poland and Austria shared a similar heavy reliance. Russian gas, before the recent surge, offered a cost-effective alternative compared to options like liquefied natural gas, supporting economic activity and maintaining manageable household energy bills in Europe. The direct pipeline ensured reliability by mitigating potential disruptions in transit countries, fostering a sense of energy security. However, this dependency also conferred significant geopolitical influence upon Russia, as the Kremlin utilized gas exports as a political tool, shaping policy decisions and influencing regional dynamics. Nevertheless, this comfortable arrangement began to unravel in 2022. Nord Stream 1's flow dwindled to a trickle, shrouded in technical issues and accusations of sabotage. Concurrently, Nord Stream 2 remained dormant, its certification indefinitely suspended in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. This sudden shift has exposed Europe's vulnerabilities, marking a rupture in its energy reliance. The disruption of Nord Streams is a significant factor contributing to the ongoing energy crisis in Europe, leading to a notable increase in gas prices that is affecting both businesses and households. That's precisely when Europe desperately needs an energy source, and the Trans-Saharan gas pipeline proves to be the last option. You see, Europe has no option but to rely completely on the Trans-Saharan pipeline. However, Niger has complete power over it. Because France is the main player wanting to reverse Niger's coup, it has become the prime focus for the European countries as well. That's because the Trans-Saharan pipeline is a necessity for the whole of Europe. That's why we are seeing European states like Italy already betraying and criticizing France, going in favor of Africa. Giorgia Meloni, Italy's prime minister and a right-wing politician, accused France of exploiting African nations through the use of a colonial currency. Meloni asserts that 50% of everything that Burkina Faso exports ends up in the French treasury. It appears that only a warning from Niger about suspending the Trans-Saharan gas pipelines has created a chain reaction within Europe. The unsettling reality that Europe is more dependent on this gas pipeline than African nations gives immense bargaining power to Niger, something that never happened before in Africa. What do you think? Did Niger do the right thing by canceling and ending all plans for oil and gas supply to Europe? Isn't it true that being an important member of the oil pipeline that will go to Europe, Niger can choke down the entire Europe and incur heavy losses on Nigeria? Let us know your thoughts on what might happen now in the comment section right below. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the Black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious Blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.